Welcome back to the show. I am your host, Kim Guillory. So this week I am talking about giving up or giving in. Guys, if you have been following along the last few weeks, then you notice that I've been talking a lot about reinventing yourself. Here is the hard part. Some of you have made drastic changes, big moves, and you feel really good. You are self-governing. You feel in control. You feel capable and confident like never before. You are starting to recognize that you have choice and you have control and your ethics and morals are in check. You're now depending on yourself. You trust yourself. You're disciplined. You're motivated. You're focused. So, what's the problem? You ask. What's the problem? Those around you who have yet to recognize this new you is the real you. And that brings up a lot of problems that we're going to talk about. So you could go back to the cycle of transformation if you want to know more on this, but I'm going to just start from here and dive in. And that is, you chose. You made the decision. You knew what you wanted. You envisioned it. You felt it. You experienced it as if it were real, and you started taking actions towards it. Congratulations. The tricky part is what happens on the other side when you now like this person. You like who you wake up with. You like being dependable and reliable and being a creator. But the old relationships haven't gotten to know the new you yet. And so this is the point where we're going to go into giving up or giving in. So in order to get here, you had to give up something. You had to give up something because the way that we create change is to first decide we want what it is that we want. How can we get there? Has anyone else done it? What are the steps? And then you had to embody the new identity. You had to feel it and become it before it would actually show up in physical form. And the last step is you had to give up something. So you had to quit doing something to get something else. And maybe you had to give up something good to go for something great. That doesn't feel good. That is the giving up part. Well, here's the next part of the story. Today, you may now have a new choice. You may have to choose again. And that is, are you going to give in and go back to what was familiar? Maybe it doesn't even feel good. Maybe it doesn't even feel safe, but it's familiar to those around you. If I could count the times that my clients had to go through this, and me also. So, like the recent move, the change in the business direction, the change in my business, my brick and mortar. There was a point where I made a decision. I knew what I had to do to get it. I became the person who believed I could, and then I cut the wall away. I knocked out the wall. I moved the electricity. I moved the pedicure chairs, right? I had to cut something. Then I had to face the consequences on the other side. And so for some of you, it's in the relationship that once you committed to being this more of yourself, which was less people pleasing, less other people telling you what to do, you making decisions for yourself. That's a big change, guys. Congratulations. It's a big jump. But now you've broken some of these old contracts. So there was this, if you do this, I'll do this negotiating that was happening. And now that this has changed, you're suddenly in a new arena. So what was familiar and those old rules that you used to play by are no longer present. So what now? What now? I know many of you are experiencing this because I've been talking with you. And we have super supportive group of coaches who are guides. They're not controllers. They don't have agendas. They're not going to tell you what to do. We don't give advice. We listen and we help you find the answers from within yourself. And now we see that you have a new decision to make. And that decision, first one was giving up. You gave up the old identity. You gave up the old habits and behavior. You gave up in order to get something else. But now you have to decide, are you going to give in and go back? Very uncomfortable. I get it. And if you go back and listen to the previous episodes, you will see and hear that it was in there. It's just you don't really relate to things until you're in it. So empathy and compassion and understanding comes from actually being someone who has experienced the same thing or being involved personally. You take it more serious when it's your kid or loved one. Well, it's the same for personal transformation. You will take this stuff seriously when it is about you. But until then, you don't have the contrast. You can't conceptualize it. You can't put yourself in that position. But here you are, and now you can. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back? Most of you say, no, I can't. I can't go back to what I was. I can't go back to what I used to do. I can't go back to the restrictions. I can't go back to what I'm not. Well, the next option is for you to keep going and for you to cut away that concept of it even being an option to go back to what you're not. That's the next thing to cut away. So this process, this 4-step process, just it continues to repeat itself. And there's something in our mind that makes up this beautiful little story, this little fairy tale, and thinks that, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get that and that's it. But it forgets the rest of the story. Yet here we are. So know that you're okay. You're safe. It was the right thing to do to make the decision. And sometimes the discomfort happens in those around us. But if you truly want the relationship, if you want it to be more meaningful, if it's important and valuable, guys, have a conversation. It's the next part of the equation. It's the communication to create a new contract. And so this is supposed to happen. It's the opportunity for vulnerability and transparency where you go to this person and say, I realize this is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me too. But I actually love the person that I am today. And this is me. This is the real me. And I want to be in relationship with you. So what do we need to do? What do we need to talk about? How do we come to terms and grips with this? Do you want to come along with me? And sometimes this is scary. There's like, I am afraid they say no. And that's possible. But the negotiating and going back to who you're not means that you're in a relationship that's not real. Because you're pretending to be someone from maybe 10 or 15 or 20 years ago that you thought you were back then. But a lot of stuff has happened since then. Maybe you've had kids, you've changed jobs, you've lost loved ones, and you came to these new realizations. And so you have a new awareness, new information, new knowledge and wisdom. And that determines the new self-concept. And that's where you are. And so the next step is to have a conversation, to open communication in a brand new way. And these conversations are going to be vulnerable because you've likely been walking around like a badass, and all of a sudden you are in a frightful, fearful, scary place. And you're having to look in the mirror and you're having to look in the environment and you're having to get real. So congratulations for getting here. Don't stop Come back to the vision, come back to what it feels like to be this person. Remember what you had to lose in order to get, and never forget what it is that you wanted. You wanted more intimate, more meaning, more satisfaction and fulfillment. You wanted this, and this is the opportunity to get it. So don't let your brain scare you into thinking you're about to lose it all, because the only thing you have to lose is what you're not. But listen, that other person was likely not on the same healing journey as you. They didn't have the same experiences. And every one of us is just using the tools that we have to get by. And so have some grace and understanding and softness and mercy, and bring the defense down, bring the fear down, and be willing to have the conversation that says, I love you no matter what, no matter how this turns out. I want the best for you. I want the best for us. What does that look like now? What does it look like now? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid to lose? And how can I participate in this relationship in a way that works for both of us? So it doesn't even matter who it was, like your friend, your partner, your adult child, your employer, like whoever. It's usually that important person in your life. They weren't there through the healing journey, and so they don't know the whole story. And if you want this to be a deep, intimate relationship, then just share it with them. Just be willing to show them who you are now. And ask, what are you afraid of? What can I do to contribute in a way that we grow together? Because we have a commitment to grow together. Anyone you're in relationship with, you have a commitment to grow together. This is a soul growth program, this whole life. So that's what I want to share with you today is you gave it up. Or are you going to give in, or are you going to keep going? So giving up had to happen. It had to happen in order for you to have something else, in order for you to get here. And at the end of the day, we're mostly giving in. Would we quit doing that? Let's quit giving in to ease. Let's quit giving in to what we don't want. Because on the other side of this, when you fully embody the new identity, that's when you're in true ease, because you will be integrated, healed in your naturalness, who you truly are, living a life of ease and fulfillment and freedom and flexibility and satisfaction and unconditional love. Because if there is a threat right now, that's conditional. That's conditional. So have the conversation. Be open and willing to listen. This is just an opportunity. Listen. Listen to what the other person is saying. Open your heart, open your mind, and listen. Give them the opportunity to express and share their fears. Don't be defensive. Don't lash out. Just listen. I hear you. I understand. That makes total sense. I probably would have felt the same way. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for trusting me. And thanks for the willingness to have this conversation so we can grow together. All right. I would love to say that this is great. It feels amazing, but I know it doesn't. I know it doesn't, because I've been here so many times. So you made the decision. You got this far. You gave up what wasn't working in order to get what is. Decide if you want to give in and go back to what you were in order to please someone else, which technically is saying you're not in a relationship as who you are. But it happens. We do it. We get by with the tools that we have. And, most of us grew up with deficient and defective tools. That's what we're trying to turn around and change, is to become more empowered through correct information to, it's the word that comes up for me is sovereignty and self-governing. And that's taking full responsibility. Guys, we were not grown up. We were not mature. We were not adults, and we didn't have the correct information. And once we do, it is our job to use them and to make sure that we are passing this on so that our loved ones know how to communicate so that we can stay in deep, intimate relationships because that's what we want. We want meaningful relationships. Most of us just have so much shame hiding underneath the mask. And that's what you're having to confront right now is that shame, that fear of rejection and abandonment and dislikeness. Like, what if they don't love me anymore? What if they don't want me? It is the really true, like I'm talking core truth rejection. Because if they reject you as who you're not, it's easier than if they reject you for who you truly are. And that takes a lot of courage to be the person that you truly are when we've spent a lifetime being who we think someone else wants us to be. All right. If you know anyone who would love to hear this message, please invite them to the podcast, rate and review it. That helps us get it into the hands of more people. And if you're interested in doing some of this deeper dive work, maybe going on your own healing journey, then you can just email Kim@KimGuillory.com. Click on any of the links. Find me on social media. I'm actually the one who answers my messages. So I'd be happy to get in a conversation with you and see what you want to change, what you want to create. All right. Have an amazing week.